Welcome back, everyone. Katie Welke here for Pine Sports with another episode of my Daily Dimes. We're taking things straight to Delaware this week, where our guest and golf capper Tee2Green will be here to give his favorites and insights to this week's BMW Championship. No one knows the greens better than Danny, so this will be full of dimes you won't want to miss locking in. Subscribe to the channel below as well and hit that thumbs up button to show some love. Pine and PrizePicks have partnered, and now all Pine users who use the promo code PINE will receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100. Pine is also doing an exclusive PrizePicks sheet in Pine's free Discord. Sign up today and use code PINE to win with PrizePicks. Danny, a lot has happened since the last time you were here. It seems like every day there's some sort of major news happening around golf these days, with more players defecting to LIV and the PGA meeting happening this week with top players, including Tiger Woods, rallying together to figure out steps forward. But curious to know which favorites you were eyeing for this week's BMW Championship in Delaware. Will Zalatoris earning his first win last week. Do you think he may repeat this week at Wilmington?
So, Will is an incredible ball striking machine, but I think the reason he succeeded last week was really based on his iron play. And I think the focus this week is going to be more on the off the tee prowess of the players. And Will, he could hit it well off the tee, but I think he sprays it more often than not. And if you watched the last round, especially down the stretch, he was missing quite a few fairways, and he was kind of getting lucky that he was able to use his irons to survive. So he could play well, but I don't think he repeats this week.
So won't be looking too far into Zalatoris, but let's look into Wilmington and tell me a little bit about this course. I know you have such great insider knowledge into these courses. So what is specific about this one that we should take note of?
So as you said, this week we're in Wilmington, Delaware. It's the first time it's hosted any sort of PGA Tour event. So there's not a whole lot of statistics and historical data to go off of. But what I have been able to learn is that we're looking at a 7,500 yard par 71, which sounds really long, and it is. But a lot of the distance is hidden in 3 out of the 4 par 3s. Those 3 are all over 200 yards. And the 3 par 5s are all, I think one's over 575 yards, and the other 2 are over 600 yards. So those 6 holes are going to hide the majority of the distance, which leaves the remaining 12 holes, the par 4s, which are actually pretty short. We're going to be looking at a lot of driver wedge situations for the longer hitters on tour. But because we don't have a lot of historical data, I was able to go back and look at similar course setups to see who did well there. And the most comparable courses I've been able to pull out of are Winged Foot, Caves Valley, Olympia Fields, the North Course, and the South Course at Torrey Pines. So people that succeeded there, I think will have a leg up here in Wilmington.
And now for your favorites. It is the playoffs, so I'm very curious to hear who you think is going to be at the top of the leaderboard and has the highest chance of winning here this week.
I know one of my things is always to shop for value, but really when it comes to the playoffs, I think the studs are the ones that show up and play and do the best. So this isn't a week where you should go look for a number that you think is underpriced on somebody and try to extract some value that way, some positive expected value. I think if you think somebody's going to win, you pay up for them. And this week, there's 2 guys at the top of the board that I really, really like, and it's Rory and it's Rahm. Rory, he has an incredible history after a missed cut. He missed the cut earlier this year at the Valero, and he finished second at the Masters. Going back 2 years ago, there were a couple of missed cuts he had, and he followed them up with a T5 and a T6, I believe, a T14 at one point. He just always bounces back. And we're playing on a bent grass surface on the greens this week, and he always putts best on bent grass. So we have a couple things working for him. He's coming off a missed cut, so he's going to have that fire. It's a PGA Tour playoff event, and he wants to leave his mark on one of these remaining events. And it's his best putting surface. And at this course, I do think you're going to have to go pretty low. So for those reasons, and on top of that, his off the tee play is incredible. I also like Rahm for the same thing. He's incredible off the tee. He's long, he's straight, and his best iron play is usually from the 100 to 150 and 150 to 200 range, which with his length, he's going to be looking at a lot of irons and a lot of wedges from that distance. He played very well last week, finishing top 5, I believe. His off the tee game was awesome for the first 3 rounds. Not so great the 4th round, but he still finished, I believe, 5th or so in the whole field last week in strokes gained off the tee. that fourth round, he made up for his lack of off the tee skill with his approach play. If he carries over that approach play to this week and then has his usual awesome game off the tee, he's going to be contending. So, you know what? I'd say stick to the top 2 guys that fit the mold, bet them, bet big on them, and just see what happens. So I'll add a couple of things too. This is a no-cut event because we're at the tail end of the PGA Tour playoffs here. All season, players have been earning points playing in these various events. And at the end of the season, the top 125 make the first playoff event. After last week, the top 70 advanced to this week. Because we're down to 70 people, we're down to no cut. So that means that if you're in the top 70, you're playing all the way to Sunday, no matter how badly you perform. And there's one guy that always seems to show up and play really good at these no cut events, and that's Xander Schauffele. So while I do like Rory and Rahm, one thing I'm going to keep an eye out is if Xander starts off slow and his number dips really, really far down, like plus 50 to 1 or 75 to 1, something like that, I'm going to jump on it because I think he has the skills to fix his game and outperform everybody else the last 3 days. So you're going to get some really good value there, particularly when you're paying up for the top 2 guys of Rory and Rahm. So keep an eye out for some value in the middle of the tournament. This is a pretty good spot for some live betting action.